I hope that you are all doing well today. It is Apex here, and today I'll be doing a bit of a convergence video going over a quick market TA over the major sectors and the dollar. As well, I'll be going over these 10 tickers that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, all stocks that I think are poised for decent continuation to the upside. But before I begin, I got to start by saying that none of what you hear or see today is financial advice. You should always do your own research and never follow anyone blindly. So without further ado, let's get right into it, looking at SPY here. So on the daily chart, we do see a little bit of a topping look to it. We are at the very top trend line of this channel, which has been respected multiple times. And we broke over yesterday's high just by a little bit, but we closed below. So the new pivot high that the bulls need to break is ultimately 390.89. We're slowly approaching that 400 psychological level, but on the daily chart, we are very overextended. We have not had daily consolidation in a long time, so we will be looking for that daily high or low if we are to see any potential continuation to the upside, and we are much due for it. Now, we have a bit of a pattern here that you can see a higher low every day since January 29th. So once that breaks, look for daily consolidation to be set. On the hourly chart, we do not have any great levels to play off of. We got a few 15-minute levels here, maybe one in there, but very small pivots. Ultimately, the pivot low that the hourly bulls need to make a higher one compared to is 380.48. So we have carved out a tremendous amount of space to do so. So the bulls are hoping that the most likely outcome will come through with an hourly higher low, confirm the daily bounce, and then see continuation up to the upside. But overall, very extended. These levels are a little bit tapery, I guess you could say. Not very confident with everything right now. And as you can see on the hourly chart, we do have RSI is slowly starting to fade. So price action is kind of just holding a certain area, and RSI is slowly starting to fade away. So that is very telling. We can see some increasing bear volume as we get to the top here and declining bull volume the entire way up. So a couple indicators suggest that a pullback is due. Anyone with a pair of eyes and a little bit of experience in the markets can see that based off the size of this extension. But we can ultimately only wait and see what happens. QQQ, very similar to SPY. We broke above yesterday's high, but could not close above it. New pivot high that the bulls need to break is ultimately 334.81. Pivot low that they need to defend is 312.76. Again, you can see we are very overextended, so we do need a pullback. Most likely outcome from this extension would be a higher low, and that's if market conditions remain as they are. Do have a little bit of a gap to fill here at 323.54, so that could be a good buy zone if we do see a pullback. On the hourly chart, we are very overextended again, like with SPY. So we only had a brief hourly consolidation right here in early February, and now we have made a strong impulse wave to the upside. So based off the level of control that the bulls have right now, the most likely outcome from here would be an hourly higher low compared to these pivots down here of 326.40 or 326.32. So 326.30s to 40s, the hourly bulls need to make a higher low compared to, but again, you can see the RSI is starting to taper off a little bit, and volume is decreasing, although we do not see as much bear volume up at these tops. IWM showing a little bit more strength, closing above yesterday's high. New pivot high for the bulls is 229.62. Bears front running that 230 resistance by about 40 cents, 38 cents to be precise. But we are very overextended, so we have some very nice price action here, strong impulse, correction, impulse higher. Most likely the outcome from here based off this extension would be a higher low. Just a couple gaps to fill, but nothing crazy. On the hourly chart, same thing as SPY and QQQ. We haven't had any hourly pullback since this pivot low of 211.59. Do have this gap here, like I mentioned, right at 221.84. So do look for potential dip buys around that level. But aside from that, this hourly chart is very overextended. RSI has been floating above 70 for the last 6 days. So that is notable, a little bit of a RSI divergence here, and not very impressive bull volume going into this top, but like every other market sector out there, we are due for a pullback. Looking at the dollar continues to see weakness, and as we approach this resistance, it is fitting that SPY, QQQ, IWM are all looking a little bit toppy. So bulls ultimately looking to make a higher low compared to 90.05, 90.1, and ultimately need to break 91.6. Based off of the size of this pullback, the most likely outcome would be a lower high compared to 91.6, make some sort of EQ, and hopefully see a breakout. Or if you're an asset bull, like most of us are, hopefully we see that fail and more continuation to the downside. Zooming in on the hourly chart, we can see that we have made, or we are making a bit of a descending wedge here. So look for those cues in this pattern to break in order for confirmation to a potential reversal. RSI is starting to diverge. So there's a lot of signs pointing that we do need a healthy consolidation for more continuation to the upside. So now I'll jump into a couple tickers that I am watching right now. I've made some tweets about it this morning, but I just wanted to give a bit of a video analysis right now. Things are a little bit busy with school, so just don't mind my attempt at trying to get as much content out for you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So CRNT is the first ticker that I am looking at. And I'm only just basing this off a technical perspective, not really diving in too much to the fundamentals. I took a brief overview of most of these stocks, but as I've said in many videos before, again, you get a pretty good gauge about the fundamentals based off how much bull volume you see in the market. So it's a little bit of a cheater's way to get there, to get a good analysis through. But anyway, so CRNT looking very good here. You have a very strong impulse wave to the upside, steady correction on very low bear volume. Now we've seen a bounce. I'll throw in the EMA just so you guys can see. See a Holy Grail bounce right here from the 1st of February. Decent bounce to the upside. Now all we're looking for is a higher low. Got that higher low confirmation yesterday on an earnings release, although it does appear that that release was negative. Bulls seem to like it, and now we are forming a beautiful inside bar. So this is as good as it gets, guys. We see a strong impulse wave to the upside, deep correction down to, well, not a deep correction, a healthy correction down to the 20 EMA, Holy Grail bounce, lower high, higher low, inside bar, ready to explode to the upside. I have targets around $7 to $8, but I am looking for an hourly setup to get in there. So we have this gap down, bulls bought the dip. We have low, high, looking for a higher low here on the hourly chart. So I'll be looking for momentum over 525 psychological. If I can see some good action going into that level, that might be a cue for me to buy. SFIX, this one has been a runner all year. Don't really need to go too much into detail about how this last earnings has propelled this stock, higher. Now you're seeing history repeat itself. So we had a strong impulse wave to the upside last time that price interacted with the 20 EMA. Bulls bought that dip mightily. So now we are seeing something similar. And as you can see, we had a low, lower high, higher low, explosive move to the upside. Well, what are we seeing right now? We are seeing low, lower high, higher low, and looking for an explosive move to the upside. So I can zoom in on the hourly chart, see a bit of a pattern here. So on the hourly, we have an impulse wave to the upside. We have a low, higher high, no follow through, lower low. On the, I guess that would be more of a 15-minute lower low than an hourly, but we do breach this pivot down here. So we'll just call it a lower low, impulse wave to the upside. Now we're scouting for a higher low. If we can break that 87 whole number, then I would expect to see decent continuation through and up into maybe the hundreds, up to 120s, testing that all-time high, or even go parabolic like we did last time around and reach targets all the way up to 127, probably top out around 125 psychological. But yeah, overall, this is looking very good. Like I said, it's very important to note these patterns over and over again, right? So here on the hourly chart, like I said, we can count that as a high, higher low, and we're looking for a higher high, just depending on how you do the hourly TA. But here specifically on the daily chart, we do see that higher low continuation. Now we are seeing something similar right around the 20 EMA. This has a lot of momentum in it, although we do have one bull node or bear node here. So much momentum coming from this earnings release and all this bullish volume that was accumulated, I wouldn't be surprised to see this continue to the upside. GP, I've talked about this one already, and I was looking at it more as an ascending triangle with the flat top resistance, and it is, I mean, totally, but I was just looking at it without any lines, and I noticed that this is like one of the most beautiful cup and handle patterns I've ever seen. So this thing looks poised to go. Everyone's just waiting for the earnings release on the 11th. So we just got to sit tight, wait for that. But as you can see, incredible bull volume here all the way around. So lots of good positive technicals for this stock, and also it's green power motor, so it's in that EV sector, very hot right now. And I am looking for continuation to the upside. On the hourly chart, it's a little bit messy, so I'll stick to the daily chart. As you can see, we're just chopping around all over the place right now. If we can do something like this, hold this pivot low, and then break the pivot high, that would be good enough for me to see an hourly trend change. That might be a first add, but again, I just want to wait for earnings. I don't want to jump in. Despite how good the technicals are, we can always get in later. I'll show you an example of why. Caudy. Everyone was talking about Caudy. Everyone's jumping in Caudy, but look what happened. So I was waiting for earnings. We saw this start breaking out. Everyone's going, okay, this is going to the moon. Huge 2.5 month bull flag here, great bull volume. And then we get an earnings release. And we get, oh, well, actually, I guess we lost. Last time I checked, it said positive for some reason. TradingView takes a while to update, I guess. But so we had a negative surprise, and look what happened. Huge gap down the next day. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets bought up, to be honest with you. This still looks pretty bullish in its formation. Nice little retail shakeout. Institutional hedge funds or big whales are buying this, no questions asked. But it is surprising, right? You know, you're jumping in euphoria mode, everyone's happy, and then we get that earnings release, and boom, balloon pops. So I just want to wait for GP, wait for that earnings release before taking a position. Even if it gets up, I mean, if it's going to gap up on good news, then there's going to be a lot of continuation anyway. So if I'm not getting the quote-unquote best possible price, I'm not too worried about it. This thing is going to have a lot of momentum to the upside, especially with this technical of a pattern. BEI is another ticker I'm looking at here. So again, I haven't really dove too much into the technicals, but I believe ARK was looking at this. It was either ARK or Bridgewater. I was looking into their holdings right now, and its name popped up. Can't quite remember, but yeah, beautiful setup. So we have a very strong impulse wave to the upside, backed by heavy, heavy, heavy bull volume, as you can see here. Incredible accumulation, looks absolutely exceptional. Making a holy grail here, but it's so bullish it doesn't even want to touch the EMA. So I will wait for an hourly setup. I do have some marks, so it's a little bit choppy, but as you can see, we have a clear falling wedge here. So I'll be looking for that to break to the upside. I have 238 marked, but you know, I just need to see this price action develop. It was looking good here, and then we just got wicks, and tapered off. So if we can just see like a very strong move through that 230, 250 level, because this pivot high is 240. Yeah, so over 250, that would be pretty impressive for a psychological perspective. So keep an eye on that 250 level. If we see continuation up and over that, very strong bull volume on like a 15-minute or an hourly chart, that would be my sign to heavily consider buying. Or if we see a gap down red to green, that would be even better. But overall, yeah, this is picture perfect. I mean, it's just so bullish. It just has that look to it. You know what I mean? It's just holding some specific price levels, and the volume's just tapering right off. Like nobody's trading in this. It's just kind of oscillating, waiting for a move. We do have earnings coming up at on the 23rd here, so that could be a setup, right? We got, what are we, 2 weeks away? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of range a little bit. I'd like to buy into that 20 EMA, but yeah, overall this is looking very good. Letting the RSI cool off a little bit as well helps. NVTA, so this is one ARK's been buying. A lot of these stocks, I'm looking into hedge funds, just trying to figure out what they're buying. And I just came to the conclusion that the most logical trading system imaginable would be find what hedge funds are buying and then just trade bullish patterns with those stocks. I mean, you're going to have the weight of a hedge fund behind you, so that just seems to make sense to me. So NVTA is something that ARK has been buying heavily. It's a huge holding from them. We see it's in this beautiful tightening range here: high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low. Like this is as tight as it gets. And we have earnings coming up on the 16th, so 17th, so going into next week. I would expect a move for that event. Again, this is one, no matter how good it looks like, I'm just waiting till earnings. I'm not trying to jump in and get the best possible price right now. It's gonna run if it runs, so I'll just wait for my buy signal. EXPC, so this is one that's kind of interesting. So I did look in a little bit of the fundamentals behind this company because I had no idea what it did, and it has some, it has a lawsuit, or sorry, an investigation going on right now. Can't really remember the specifics. You guys can always look it up yourselves. But yeah, it has a bit of a lawsuit or an investigation of some sort going on into malpractice. But this just looks exceptionally bullish. I mean, first off, first thing I noticed, we have great bull volume accumulation overall. But then we have like a high here, low here, higher high here. Actually, we have a high, we have a low, we have a higher high, we have a higher low, we have a higher high again, and a higher low again. I mean, this is just making every possible technical cue to me that this has more potential to the upside. This huge influx of volume over the last few months, and it's holding 20 EMA very well. Does look poised for continuation. RSI is extended, but I mean, it's just ready to go. And you can see like the RSI is tapering off a little bit, but there's a lot of strength behind this name. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a move coming out from it. I won't trade it just because of everything that's going on. It seems news related, but it will be interesting to see how this pattern plays out because I haven't really seen one like it. I haven't really seen a stock with this type of look. So if it turns out to go, I mean, that's another pattern to add to the playbook for future. CRWD is an interesting setup here. So obviously, as you remember before, we had this this EQ breakout on good news. Huge volume came in, and we've seen an impressive run up. So now we are in a consolidation phase. Now, most people would look at this and see a head and shoulders, but I have a feeling that we could see this continue to the upside. So we don't see any bear volume coming through at all. We have good bull volume coming in through the end of this move, which just does show either, a sign of seller exhaustion or, people adding into a position. I believe the street high estimate of where this price should be is around 275. So we do have, some room to run, which would take us right to the fib extension of this move. So that is an interesting kind of correlation. RSI is in the midsection, just a little bit higher. So things from that end are good. The only issue here is we have an impulse wave to the upside, higher low, higher high, lower low. So one of two things has to happen here. Either we have to get over this pivot high, or we have to make a higher low compared to this guy, something like this, and break this high. And that would be my cue to signify an entry. So I don't have a position right now. I am waiting to see how this plays out because it does look like a head and shoulders, but I reference FSLY because remember back here where everyone was calling this a head and shoulders, and then we saw a great continuation to the upside because what it really was a bit of a triangle pattern. Now, I don't know, CRWD doesn't look exactly like that, but you know what I mean, how this could act as a short trap, get everyone retail wise thinking that this is a bearish pattern, and then we see smart money buy it right back up. Could be a play. Definitely keep it on watch, but I need some more confirmation before entering. Pull off, this is one I took a position on today. Trader Studio called it out, but I was watching it before. Gotta say I was watching it before. He did call it out, which kind of led me to jump into the position, but awesome impulse wave to the upside here. Incredible bull volume. And then this EQ looks exactly like EH. So I was talking about this stock yesterday, right? So we have a strong run up, and we have a low, lower high, higher low, two great hammer candles right as we're making the higher low, and then we get this unbelievable breakout today. Incredible. Pull looks very similar. We see a strong run up, higher low, lower high, higher low, trying to make that higher low confirmation. Yeah, okay, I think I got all that correct. Trying to make that bullish confirmation to see continuation to the upside. I think this looks exactly like EH. It has all the same technicals, different sector, but incredible similarity overall. So looking in on the hourly chart, we can see that we are in this hourly triangle here. So looking for that to break. What I saw today that I liked was we had the low, lower high, lower low, but then bull volume came in at the end of the day and broke above the 20 EMA. So I bought on the pullback, got an average, as you can see, of 1956. And yeah, it's just one position, one size in, looking for continuation to the upside, but I really like the technical look on this guy. Piton, one I talked about before, won't go too much into it, but we had a earnings beat, so a good surprise there for the bulls, and we had a gap down as a result of that, which is awesome too, because, or did we have a gap down? We had a bearish reaction to it, which is good because it shakes out retail. And overall, this looks like a weekly bull flag to me. Strong impulse wave, holding, looking for continuation to the upside. And that earnings catalyst is exactly what we needed. So I have a hourly look here. We have we had a gap down earnings reaction. So we have the low, lower high, higher low, triple bottom. Now we have an impulse wave to the upside, bull flag. If we can see continuation, if we can see continuation to the upside past 150 psychological, that would be my cue. But this looks very good overall. Investors will be gobbling this up if they can get some speed to it. And XL, another one I've talked about before. People keep talking about it, so I'll keep talking about it. Awesome bull volume, great technicals here, strong run up, and nice meltdown. Something I am learning about EVs in this market environment is that they take forever to get going. Like FSKR, no, that's not it. Well, we can look at Solo as an example. Solo has some after hours news, but it just takes forever to get going. The ticker I'm thinking of is Fisker. FSR, that's what it is. As you can see, strong run up, great technicals, and then it just, nothing goes on. So I've noticed this trend a lot with EV names. Despite how bullish it all is, they just can't seem to get going, or if they do, they just take forever. So I don't know if I'm going to touch this trade. If you're buying, you have to buy in this area to get like a 20% move to the upside, which is great, but don't expect to see a great continuation to the upside. But if it does happen, then I will happily say I was wrong, because that will mean a lot of people are getting paid. But just based off the EV trend overall, I would expect this as the most likely outcome to just drag on. However, if we can see continuation to the upside, that would be great. FUV is an example of one that did that and then saw the explosion, right? So strong impulse, just block correction, and then great move to the upside. So maybe there's potential, right? I mean, we do see that trend of taking a prolonged period of time to develop, and then we get that explosive move. This correction is much deeper and less bullish, but you can see that it does have that rounding look to it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of pop, but the best case scenario is you got to get in around this consolidative area. So I do have an hourly look at it. So we just kind of been impulse wave to the upside, pullback, impulse, and no follow through. So just kind of trapped in a range right now. I see this as an impulse, high or low. So if we can see continuation that way, that could be a potential entry, but I don't know if I'm going to touch XL. We'll see what happens. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have yourselves a great day trading, and I will talk to you later.